everybody. Welcome to Fit for Life. My name is Anna. Let's get up and get moving. We're going to start out with our warm-up. And today, what you need is your TheraBand and a clear spot on the wall because we're going to be doing a few exercises on the wall. So just while we're warming up here, keep in mind that you're doing these exercises at your own risk, and the Aspen Primary Care Network is not liable for any injuries or damages that might be incurred during this video. So please pay attention to just staying safe, making sure you listen to your own body if anything's bothering you or you're having a problem with something. No big deal, just to sit down, take a break, wait until the next exercise. You listen to your own self. We're all working at different levels here. I do try to offer modifications to things while we're doing them, but make sure you're first paying attention to yourself and staying safe. So like I said, my name is Anna. I'm a kinesiologist, exercise specialist for the Aspen Primary Care Network here in Westlock. We used to do this class at the Spirit Center, but while we can't get together in person, we're doing our best to keep moving from the safety of our own homes. So let's get that nice march going. We're just working on getting those joints lubricated, getting the breath going a bit, get that heart rate up a little bit, and just getting moving. And try and stay on time today. Hopefully, we'll see. And let's do our polka. Wonderful. Nicely back and forth. We've got good supportive footwear on. Make sure we're not slipping around in our house. Nicely back and forth. Working on that aerobic system. So aerobic means that we're using oxygen to create energy, essentially, for our exercise. It's anything where we're doing sustained submaximal activity with a lot of muscle groups. So this is your walking, your dancing, your jogging, your swimming, all kinds of stuff like that. Okay. Nice little warm-up. Do some hip swings. Get those hips loosened up. Okay. Nice balance using our chair here so nobody falls over. My number one rule, even when you're exercising at home, that nobody falls. The other side. Get warm here in my conference room with my sunshine. Okay. Nice swings through the hip. Okay. And then doing some arm circles. Starting small. Getting bigger and bigger. We're going to look a little closer at our shoulder range of motion with an exercise on the wall today. Getting smaller and then changing direction. Start small, get bigger and bigger. Good job. Wonderful. Getting smaller and smaller. Great. Okay. So we're going to come on over to our wall. I've got my list here that I really hope is the same as the list on there. And we're going to start off today with the wall push-ups. So you've got your nice clear spot on the wall. With wall push-ups, the important thing to think about is your hand placement. So when you have your hands out, I want them to be kind of straight out from your chest. So not up by your face. They're from your chest. And you can bring your feet a little bit further away from the wall to make it a little more difficult. If that's too hard, come a little bit closer. But it's amazing what inching them out just a tiny bit can do. And we're going to have our hands a little wider than shoulder width apart. And coming in nicely and back out. So when I'm coming in towards the wall, my hands are still nicely at chest height. They're not, see, if I was up here and I came in, that puts a lot of stress on my shoulders. That's gonna hurt me after some time. So making sure your hands are in a proper safe position so your shoulders are protected. Okay, we're gonna do that. Remembering our rules for strengthening exercises is the first few should be pretty easy. By the time we get to the last few, we should be feeling some warmth and some fatigue in through those muscles. So here, that'll be the arms and the chest. See how I keep my torso very nice and straight. Got a nice little plank going on. Couple more. Okay, good job. All right, we're going to do a few heel-toe raises here. I like to keep a hand on the wall just so I don't tip over. We're gonna do heel-toe raises, so up on the tippy toes and then bringing those toes up towards us. Give you a side view here. Making sure that when we rock back on our heels, we really resist that urge to stick our butt out, okay? I don't want this to be this movement here, all right? Good quality of movement. Up on the tippy toes and then bringing those toes up towards us. You're not necessarily going to get those toes up very high, but I want good activation of those front shin muscles, okay? Try not to look down at your feet because when we look down at your feet, typically our butt goes out. So making sure you're really nice and straight through your torso. Okay, a few more. And good job. All right, next we're gonna come back into that wall push-up position, but now instead of doing the push-ups, we're going to do our Superman. A lot of people do these on the floor, but I've modified them to do them on the wall, and it works pretty good too. And a lot of people don't like going down on the floor. If you like doing exercises on the floor, by all means, go for it. Grab a mat and go for it. But we're gonna start in this wall push-up position. We're going to take a hand, so I'll start off with this hand. Now when I'm reaching back, I'm really squeezing that shoulder blade back, okay? This isn't just winging my hand out, I'm really squeezing that shoulder blade back. So squeeze the shoulder blade back, take the opposite leg, extend, squeeze the glute, hold, and the other side. Squeeze that shoulder blade back and down, extend the hip, squeezing that glute, hold, and the other side. Making sure while you're doing this that you stay very nice and square to the wall. We're not winging off here like this. We're really staying very nice and square to the wall. Squeezing that shoulder blade back and down. Extend the hip. Really squeeze this butt cheek and the other side. Extend, hold, making sure you're doing opposites and the other side. Squeeze, hold, making sure you're breathing and the other side. Shoulder blade comes back and down, squeezing the glute and the other side. Squeeze, hold, really making sure we activate those gluteus muscles in there, okay? Next one we're going to do is this shoulder range of motion one I told you guys to think about. So you have to have a decent patch of wall here. If you don't have a clear enough patch of wall, you can kind of improvise. But we're going to stand relatively close beside the wall. And I want you to, so I'm almost touching here. And I want you to, and if you don't have as much shoulder range of motion, you'll have to stand a little further away. We're putting our palm on the wall this way. So I'm kind of having to turn it, face it out. And we're to try and do a big circle. You'll find some sticky points here and see if you can get all the way down to the other side without twisting your body, okay, without having to do this. We're really seeing how much range of motion and how tight we are in through the chest. And then see if you can come back without having to compensate too much. All right, nice circle. I'm going to demonstrate the other hand over here. Hopefully I make it around my sign here. Palm goes on the wall. I'm standing pretty close. Palm on the wall. You're trying to stay on the wall. This side is a lot tighter for me. I'm going to have to twist my body a bit. We really see where we're tight in through that chest. Nice and slow. And if you do have to compensate to come through, of course you can. Coming back the way we came. Oh, I have to see how I have to twist here a little bit. I don't quite have the range of motion on this side. All right, let's do it again on the other side. You guys can turn around, but I'm lucky I've got a corner here to work in. I'm going to put my hand on the wall, starting nice and low, and I'm going to do this nice sweeping circle. Little easier the second time around. I'm coming on down and then coming back the way we came. Definitely easier on one side than the other for me. We're going to try this again. Palm goes on the wall, and we're going to try and stay as close as we can. Again, if you don't have the range, it's okay to step away a bit. It's okay to twist a little bit. It's almost a bit of a self-assessment tool to see where you've got those sticky points in your shoulder. See how I have to twist and I'm tilting here a little bit too. It's okay. I can look at this and say, oh yeah, I'm a lot tighter in through my chest on my left side than my right. So just a nifty little self-assessment tool and stretch for you to do at home if it feels good. Okay, next we're going to do some wall sits. So coming to my patch of wall here. And this, remembering we've got big leg strength going on here. So only come down as far as you feel comfortable coming on back up. As number one rule, nobody falls, okay? Making sure for this, first off, your feet are going to be nicely hip width apart, just like for our squat. But don't be scared to bring your feet far enough away from the wall. Because when our feet are too close to the wall, if I'm only here, when I come down, my knees are going to come over my toes too far over the level of my toes. That really hurts when I push myself back up. Does not feel good. So lean against the wall. Your wall can take it. Brace yourself against the wall. Bring your feet far enough away so that when you come down, your knees aren't going to go over the level of your toes. So my hips are staying on the wall. Don't drift into this land here. Hips are staying on the wall. Feet are hip width apart, maybe a touch wider if you want. And we're going to slide on down. So you can see here, nice angles here, and my knees aren't going over the level of my toes. We're going to hold that nice and strong. You can play around with your feet. Maybe you want to bring them even further out. Maybe that feels good. That actually feels a little better for me. Okay, and we're going to hold this. If you want, you can activate your pelvic floor while you're here. This is a really nice exercise to practice those Kegel stop the pee muscles. And there's men watching, you guys have them too, so activate the pelvic floor, keep holding it, and then relax, and then push on up, okay? We're gonna do that again. So, getting yourself all lined up, paying attention to where your feet are here, and we're going to sink on down as far as you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable going to this kind of parallel to the floor, that's fine. If you're only comfortable coming to here or doing that quarter sit, that's perfectly fine, okay? And holding Activate that pelvic floor if you want to kind of get a little bit more out of your wall sit here. And hold. Remember to breathe. And coming on up. All right, I've got a few shirts layered here, so it's a little, I'm not sliding as nice on my wall as I'd like to. All right, we're gonna do another one. So getting nicely lined up and sinking on down. Hips are against the wall. We're nicely controlled here. Now, if you want, bring a foot to center so you can kick the other one out. Hold and do the other foot. Making sure you're breathing. Woo. And let's push on back up, okay? One more here. Get yourself a little relaxed. Make sure you've got your nice breaths going on here. We're going to sink on down into our sit. Holding nicely. I've got my feet again nicely at hip width. I'm not going out or buckling in here. I'm nice and straight out from my hips. And you can see my knees are stacked really nicely over top of my ankles. We're going to hold this for a few more seconds. See how we do. Think about the nice weather we've had. Maybe by the time I air this, it'll be a little colder out again. But geez, it's been warm. Let's try and do a couple more seconds. And push on up. Good job. Okay, so we're gonna come on over to our chair. Now, before we sit down, this exercise is going to require a sturdy chair, so make sure you don't have anything too flimsy, but we're gonna try out a fun little exercise here. It's called a one-leg sit down. So, and I'll give you guys a side view here actually. We're going to, it's exactly how it sounds. Gonna make sure the chair is right behind you. We're going to keep one leg out and slowly sit down. All right, and then standing on up. And again, have a second chair nearby if you need it for balance. We're going to, I feel that chair behind me. We're going to slowly sit down. All right, and if this is too difficult, we can just do the regular sit to stand, and that's fine too. This is just one of those ones that's a fun little challenge. You want to control that sit down as much as you can. All right, my knee is soft, leg forward. Try to control it as much as you can. Okay, other foot. I feel that chair there. I know it's there to save me. My knee is soft. I'm really reaching with my tush to go sit in that chair. All right, couple more. Nice and soft through the knee. Trying to control that as good as I can. And let's do it one more time here. Leg in front, knee is soft, and reaching slowly to sit down. Okay, good. Let's grab our band. And we're going to do our upper body strength here today. Okay, and for some reason I mixed up my chest press and my row today, a little different than normal. So we're gonna start off with our chest press today. We're going to bring that band around your back here, do the side view. And starting off at the chest, we're going to push straight out, slowly back in. Nice, good posture, making sure that your shoulders stay down. They're not crunching up towards your ears. Nicely out. Slow and controlled coming back. Keeping your posture very nice and straight, not curling forward through the shoulders. That's kind of looking like that, all right? Our shoulders are nice and back and down along our spine still. Coming on out and back. Good job. making sure with our band, as usual, we always go very slow and controlled and feeling good there. Okay, let's switch to our seated row. So for this one, we're going to bring our feet out in front of us. I sit forward in my chair a little bit. I'm gonna wrap that band around my feet. And I am nicely rowing my boat here. Now the important thing to think about here is not the movement of our hands, but rather squeezing those shoulder blades back along the spine. Really thinking about squeezing through the back and making sure that we're not doing this where we hike. We think we're hiking up, okay? We're not pulling up our underpants here. We are rowing back, engaging the back muscles, okay? Drawing those elbows back. I'll give you guys a front view here. You can keep going. Really thinking about those elbows coming to the side and pulling back. Good row. Nice posture. Nice and slow and controlled as usual. All right. Great. Let's do our biceps right away. So this time, my knees are going to be bent. I've got that band directly underneath my feet. I'm going to have my hands starting off straight down and then a nice curl through the biceps. We're really keeping our elbows tucked here, so making sure that they're not drifting forward like this. All right, we're going to keep those elbows tucked and coming on up, slowly back down. I'm going to turn again to give you guys the side view here. So elbows are straight to start, and then a nice full curl, keeping everything tucked. Think about that posture being really good again. Got as good a range here as I can. Slow down the release always. Nice and slow. Don't rush it. I would rather have fewer reps, better quality of movement, than have you running through here just bouncing a rubber band, okay? Nicely down. Good job. All right. Next, we're going to do our tricep extension. So this is the opposite of the bicep. We're going to hold that band in front of us, bringing it to the opposite shoulder. Nice high grip here, and we're going to keep that elbow tucked and straight down. All right. Nice and slow and controlled. Relaxed. Good job. Slowly back. Wonderful. Get the side view here just so you guys can check in. We're making sure we're straight down, elbow stays tucked, and we're not kind of doing this seesaw motion. All right, let's do the other side. Bringing the band in front of you with the other hand now. Bring it to the opposite shoulder. I really like to piece this one apart. It seems to get people a little turned around at first. Anchor it to your shoulder. Nice high grip on the band and straight down. Slowly back. Good posture. Nice and slow on the release. Check in with your shoulder. Make sure it hasn't crept up towards your ear somehow. That shoulder blade is still nicely tucked back and down along your spine, and really controlling that band. Keeping that elbow tucked. Good job. Okay. Wonderful. So before we do our flutter kicks, I'd like to just quickly check in with our transverse abdominis activation. So transverse abdominis, we have touched on it a little bit before, but I do like to always come back to it. It's very important. It is the deepest layer of abdominal muscle, and it's kind of called that corset muscle. It keeps everything around here nicely tucked in. Its main job is to compress abdominal contents, and it really keeps our back safe when we're doing all kinds of stuff, lifting, getting out of bed, getting out of the car, all sorts of things. And if we don't have proper activation of this, we are more susceptible to getting injured. So it's good to check in and make sure that we are really activating that muscle because it lies so deep underneath a lot of fancier muscles. Sometimes it kind of gets a little forgotten, doesn't really come to the party anymore. So let's wake it up. Let's bring it to the party, out of the pajamas. Let's get it working. So let's sit back in our chairs nice and relaxed. I want you to find those pointy front hip bones. And then we're going to sink just inside those hip bones and just sinking in a little bit. We all have them there. A big muscle that comes from the back, wraps around to the front. All right. And we're going to just blow out, like we're blowing out the candles on a birthday cake. And when you do that, I want you to think about forming gentle tension underneath your fingers there. It's not so drastic as sucking in your navel or anything like that. Just forming some gentle tension, like you're tightening up a drum with that breath on the exhale. Very subtle, very gentle. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. And are you able to hold that tension while you breathe normally afterwards? Okay, relax. Let's find it again. Pointy hip bones, coming just in, sinking in and blowing out. Some people say, imagine your hip bones there that we just had, those points on your hip bones. Imagine them drawing towards each other like that. Kind of helps picture it to get that activation. Keep holding, keep breathing, and see now, can you lift up a knee ever so slightly while holding that tension equally underneath your fingers? And slowly back down. Can you lift up the other knee? Got a long activation here. And slowly back down. So you don't have to do it for that long. You can take some breaks, try and hold it for 5 seconds at a time. Try and challenge it with a little bit of movement, really getting those postural muscles to work and getting that TA to fire. So it's a good one to come back to, especially if you have problems with your low back or anything like that. Or if you have more questions about it, you can always give us a call here at the office or talk to your doctor about coming in for a one-on-one. Let's do our flutter kicks. When I talk about being activated in through our core, that's what I'm talking about. So I do like to bring that back and review it every once in a while. So for our flutter kicks, if you want this to be harder, sit a little further forward in your chair. If you really want a challenge, you can even get down on the floor and do this on the floor. If you want it to be easier, sit a little further back in your chair and use the chair for support if you need to. We're going to be nice and activated in through our abdomen. I like to semi-recline. We're going to bring our feet out and flutter. Give your glutes a little squeeze there. Smile with all 4 cheeks. You can see I'm not leaning against my chair here. I'm just semi-reclined. I'm almost touching the back of the chair, but I'm not. Keep going. Slow down a little bit. Slow down the flutters. Speed them up. Play around with it. Make sure you're still breathing. We're going to do that one more time. Pay attention to your back. If your back was starting to hurt, sit a little bit further back in your chair. There's nothing wrong with modifying it for where you want to be. If it wasn't hard enough, maybe sit a little further forward in your chair, okay? We're going to activate, nice and tucked in through our core, semi-reclined here. And bring your feet out. Squeeze your glutes. Squeeze your cheeks. Nice flutters here. See how well you can be semi-reclined. Nice flutters. Slow down the flutters. See if you can do that. And then faster. Remember to breathe. Make sure you're still breathing. Feel your tummy here. If you feel any kind of bulging or coning, stop, come back. Do an easier version, okay? Little more. And whew, relax. All right, let's get up into our balance. We try to incorporate balance into every session that we do here. Balance is so important no matter what age you are. Let's check in with our tandem stand. I like to have my chair close by just in case. Making sure that we're nice and even through our hips. How are we with transferring the weight forward and back? Are you able to do the tandem stand now without any hands? You still need support. If you need support, that's fine. But try to challenge yourself a little bit with doing less and less support. So maybe I start off with a full hand on the chair, and I can move to less and less fingers until I only need one finger on the chair, okay? Wherever you're at, switch your feet. Play around, check your feet, check your hips. How's it feel? Okay, good job. Feeling pretty good there. Are we able to do this with no hands? And if this is too far, you can do a modified version of the tandem stand too. Everybody's at a different level. If you're not at the point where you can do a tandem stand yet, do a modified tandem stand. So this is kind of just a staggered stance. I have my foot not completely in front, but just a little bit to the side. That might be challenge enough for you. Everybody is working at a different level, okay? If you can, let's come on up to the one leg stand. All right, checking in with your one leg stand. How are your hips? Did you drop when you came onto one leg, or are you activated? How are your legs? Are you squeezing your thighs together, or are you able to keep that leg nice and loose? Are you able to be soft in through that standing knee? Okay, do you need to have that support? Can you do less and less support? Are you able to do it with no hands? Okay. Feel your feet. Are your toes clawing at the floor? Are you planted through all four corners of your feet? How is your arch feeling? Lots to think about. I want you to think about bringing your hands in front. If you can, have both hands. If you need to have, if you feel safer having one hand on your support, that's good. And now are you able to reach forward? All right, we're kind of doing this Superman here. Okay, slowly coming back, and let's do the other foot. Lots to think about here with balance. So, starting off at the foot, getting nice and grounded, coming onto one foot. Are you able to do this without support? Did you just drop your hip when you came onto one foot? Bring it on up, nice and activated in through those hips. Okay, how's your legs? Are you soft in through that leg? Are you able to swing it around a bit? Are you able to be soft through your knee? How's it feeling? Check your hips, all right? Can you bring your hands in front? And are you able to do a little bit of a lean forward here? Okay, now when you come back, try and do so as slowly as possible. Wonderful. And come on down. Wonderful. Good job. Let's stretch out our calves before we sit down for our other stretches. So bringing one foot back, nice big step. That heel tries to stay on the floor and just leaning into that front leg, really creating length and feeling that stretch right in through my calf there. Okay. Do the other side. Plant the heel, really leaning forward. If you suffer from plantar fasciitis or anything like that, this might be one that you want to incorporate into your everyday. Switch sides. You can do a similar stretch off of a step or up a wall. Again, if you have any kind of specific issues like that that have been bugging you for a while, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor or a physio, or come see one of the exercise specialists here who can help you out with some of those things as well. Nicely switching sides. You might notice that one side is tighter than the other. Those toes are pointing nicely forward and really pushing that back heel down. Okay, good job. We can sit down and let's stretch out our necks. Hand behind the back. If you're not able to bring your hand behind the back, you can keep it down along your chair. So we're just gently bringing that ear to the shoulder. If you feel like that's too much, don't be pulling it over or anything. A lot of us have a really heavy head anyway, so you might just be able to lean your ear over. And the other side, you can do a bit of guidance with this hand if you like. Good job. And the other side. You'll probably slow these down a little bit at home. Our general stretching rule of thumb, other side, is a 20 to 30 second hold, 2 to 3 times on each side. All right. We're going to do a nice twist. So you can do this. Some people do this with their hands across their chest. I like to use my hands to help me, and I find that reaching with this hand for the back of my chair kind of gets my chest involved a little bit in this stretch as well. Doing a twist, twisting all the way from my seat right up to my crown. I'm really looking over my shoulder as far as I can here. And we're going to do the other side. I like to reach for the back of the chair. Nice twist in here. Good job. And the other side. Really working on that shoulder check. Other side. Great. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a reach here. Call this my morning coffee filter stretch, because my coffee filters are on one of the top shelves in my kitchen. So nice little stretch in the morning. Really getting those ribs stretched out here. Feels good. Okay. And then we're going to stretch out our hips. Ankle onto the knee. Sitting very nice and tall here. Never force this knee down or push it down. And of course, if you feel any kind of intense joint pain in your hip or your knee, you might want to find a version of this stretch that's a little different, a little modified. Sitting nice and tall and hinging forward slightly at the hip. Nice pull in through glute and the side of the leg, sometimes even on the inner thigh. We'll switch sides. I'll give you a side view here. Ankle onto knee. Sitting very nice and tall and hinging forward just slightly. Really making sure when I hinge forward, I'm doing so from the hip. I'm kind of thinking about my belly button drawing forward. Nice stretch in through here. I'm never curling like that. Okay, very, very activated and sitting tall. Other side. Ankle onto knee. Sitting nice and tall, imagining someone's pulling a string to fix my posture here. And we're going to hinge forward slightly, really thinking about staying open through the chest. As we hinge forward, I'm not thinking, my goal is not to get to my feet here. My goal is to have a good, effective stretch in through here. And again, on the other side, nice and tall and hinging forward. If you've had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, this is not one that you typically want to do, and which usually the doctors go over, your post-operative protocols. All right, and let's do our hamstrings. So last ones. plant the heel, engage the toe. Again, sitting very tall and hinging forward. Doesn't take much to feel a really nice stretch in through the back of the leg here. Let's do the other side. Plant the heel, engage the toe, sitting tall and hinging forward. I used to call this my waiting room stretch, because you can do it while you're sitting and waiting for any appointments, but we don't really get to wait in waiting rooms very much anymore. I'm gonna give you a side view here for the other side. I sit fairly forward in my seat because if you're too far back, you won't be able to get that knee nice and straight. So fairly forward in my seat, plant the heel, engage the toe, sitting nice and tall and hinging forward. Very engaged in here through the hip, because as soon as I curl, I'm going to lose that positioning through my pelvis and I'm going to lose the effectiveness of that stretch. Okay, so it's just like, let's switch sides here. Just like with the last one, the goal is not to touch your toes. The goal is to have a good, effective stretch. Sitting very tall and hinging ever so slightly. It's going to be so much more effective. Good job. All right. So that's all we're going to do today. Like I said before, I'm going to try my best to keep videos getting posted on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 o'clock. We'll take a little bit of a break over Christmas, but otherwise, once these videos are up, they're up. You guys can watch them many times as you need to. Do extra workouts if you want. Do them at any time of day. If you have any questions or concerns, you can give us a call here at the PCN. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care.